You know that magic that happens every time you stream a movie or just send a quick text? It's all powered by this silent, incredible revolution that's been going on for decades. Today, we're going to break down that whole journey of mobile networks, all the way from the first clunky car phones to the super intelligent future of 6G. All right, let's get into it. So, whenever you hear about a new G, like 5G or 6G, the first thing you probably think is, oh, faster downloads, right? But honestly, that's just a tiny piece of the puzzle. The real story is in the architecture. The whole philosophy of the network changes. And we can track this whole thing by looking at three key things. Speed, which is pretty obvious. Latency, which is kind of like that annoying delay before a web page starts to load. And the most important one of all, purpose. What was the core problem that each generation was actually trying to solve? And this quote right here, it absolutely nails it. Each new generation wasn't just a simple upgrade. Nope. It was a complete teardown and rethink of the network to solve a problem that the last generation just couldn't crack. It's a story that goes from connecting people to connecting the internet to connecting pretty much everything. So let's jump in the time machine and rewind all the way to the beginning. I mean, seriously, forget smartphones. We're going back to a time when just making a phone call without a cord plugged into the wall felt like something out of a sci-fi movie. This is where it all started. Welcome to the 1980s and the birth of 1G. Its whole job, its entire reason for being, was to solve one simple but revolutionary problem. How do we untether the human voice? It did this using analog radio waves, kind of like your car's FM radio. And just like that radio, anyone with the right gear could listen in, so calls were not secure at all. The quality? Often terrible, full of static. It was a huge first step for sure, but deeply flawed. And if you drove too far and left your coverage area, your phone was basically a very expensive brick. Then the 90s rolled around, and bam, the 2G revolution happened. The big leap here, it was huge. We went digital. And just like that, it solved 1G's biggest headaches. Digital signals meant calls were way clearer, and for the very first time, they were encrypted, which meant they were secure. But you know what the real game changer was? Digital made it possible to send the first ever mobile data. We're talking about the short message service, or as you and I know it, SMS. The text message was born, and let's be honest, communication was never the same again. And the speed that powered all this, hold on to your hats, a blistering 64 kilobits per second. Now, to put that in perspective, that's thousands of times slower than your internet at home today. I mean, it's painfully slow. It was just enough to get a text message out, but it was that crucial first baby step in sending data, not just voice, through the air. Okay, so now we've got clear digital voice and we can send texts. What's the next big mountain to climb? Well, it was obvious, wasn't it? How do we take this massive, amazing thing called the internet and cram it into the palm of our hands? And that is exactly where 3G comes in, right at the start of the 2000s. It was built to tackle that exact problem. It gave us mobile data that was actually fast enough to do things like browse the web, check your email, and even do some early pixelated video calls right from your phone. You see, 3G didn't just give us a faster connection, it laid the entire foundation for the smartphone era and the app stores we can't live without today. So the speed jumped way up to around 2 megabits per second. And that was a massive leap from 2G. It was the difference between clicking a link and then going to make a coffee while the page loaded and actually being able to browse the internet on the go. This is the speed that really turned our phones from just things we talk into real, honest-to-goodness pocket computers. But here's the thing. As revolutionary as 3G was, try streaming a high-quality video on it. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. And that is the exact problem that 4G was built to solve. So if 3G's question was, can we even get the internet on a phone? 4G came along and said, yes, absolutely. Now, how do we make it just as good as your Wi-Fi at home? And with LTE, it delivered. It gave us true mobile broadband and unleashed the entire app economy. Think Uber, Netflix, Zoom, all of that runs on 4G.
And the speed? Oh yeah, now we're talking. A mind-blowing leap up to 1 gigabit per second. This wasn't just another small step. It was like strapping a rocket to your phone. This is the speed that lets you stream an HD movie on the bus without a single stutter. It's what lets you play online games without lag. It's what made your phone's connection feel just as fast, if not faster, than your internet at home.
And what's really interesting is that this broadband explosion didn't just change our apps and videos. It totally changed the most basic thing a phone does, make a call. With stuff like Volte, that's voice over LTE, your voice call basically just becomes another stream of data, like an email. That's why calls suddenly started sounding so much clearer. And you've got VO Wi-Fi, which does the same thing over your home internet, and VO NR is the next step for 5G. Voice is just an app now. Okay, so let's take a step back. The whole story so far, from 1G all the way through 4G, has really been about us, right? About connecting humans to other humans and to the internet. But the next massive leap in architecture, that's about something else entirely. It's about connecting machines. And that brings us right up to today with 5G. Here's the problem it's trying to solve. 4G is amazing, but it was built for how people use the internet, watching videos, scrolling through social media. It wasn't built for the split-second, must-not-fail needs of a factory robot or self-driving car. So the key takeaway for 5G isn't just more speed. The magic word is guarantee. Guaranteed performance. Its incredibly low lag and massive capacity make it the first network that's truly built for industry and the Internet of Things. And this is a perfect way to picture it. 5G isn't just one thing. It's really 3 different networks rolled into one. First, you have EMBB, which is basically 4G on steroids for your phone. Super fast downloads. Then you've got URLC, the super reliable, almost zero lag connection for things that absolutely can't fail, like remote surgery. And finally, there's MMTC, which is all about connecting a massive number of tiny, low-powered devices, like sensors all over a smart city. Now, of course, all this sounds incredible, but actually building it out in the real world, yeah, that's the tough part. India is a great example here of the kinds of hurdles countries are facing everywhere. You need to lay down miles and miles of fiber optic cables. People need to be able to afford the new 5G phones, and the airwaves themselves, the spectrum, are incredibly expensive for companies to buy. These are the real-world roadblocks to making that 5G dream a reality for everyone. And what's really wild is that even as we're all still working through the challenges of 5G, the visionaries are already asking, what's next? So if 5G is all about guaranteeing performance for machines, what's left to solve? Well, the next frontier, the next big idea, is to make the network itself intelligent. So let's peek into the future with 6G. The problem it's trying to solve is this. 5G is like a super obedient, super fast robot. It does what you tell it to do perfectly, but it doesn't really understand the worlds around it. 6G wants to fix that by building artificial intelligence right into the network's DNA. The ultimate goal? To create a perfect digital twin of our physical world, a network that doesn't just communicate, but can actually sense, predict, and interact with everything. Think truly immersive holograms, not just on a screen, but right there in the room with you. Okay, let's just pull this all together for a second. This chart right here lays out the entire story perfectly. Just look at that primary goal row. You can literally watch the idea evolve from just mobile voice to mobile internet all the way to intelligent connectivity. And check out the target users row. For 4 whole generations, it was all about us, humans. Then 5G comes along and adds machines. And 6G, it's aiming for the whole shebang. And really, this is the ultimate takeaway. This whole story isn't just about technology getting faster. It's about a massive shift in philosophy, a change in the purpose of the network itself. We have evolved from simply connecting people to building intelligent ecosystems that can sense our world, predict what might happen, and interact with it. So the question we're facing is no longer just how do we connect? It's what happens to reality itself when everything is connected and intelligent.